Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our lunchtime leadership learning session today. Hope you're all really well and enjoying what seems to be nice weather at the moment. So today we are incredibly lucky because we have Fanny Snaith talking to us about money talks, make friends with your finances. And hi, Fanny, thank you for
Hello.
being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I can't tell you. It's been such a popular. We've had the event up in LinkedIn and on Facebook, and it is one of our absolutely most popular topics so far. So I'm sure everybody is really looking forward to it. So Fanny is a multi-qualified money practitioner. She really can do an amazing amount of things, not just the money stuff. So she also does hypnotherapy and mindfulness, and well, I'm sure she'll tell you in a minute exactly what she does, but she really is extraordinary. So this is going to be fascinating, and I can't wait to hear what Fanny has to say to us. So do write some comments, but I'm going to leave any questions until the end because Fanny has a presentation and I don't want to interrupt her during that. So Fanny, do feel free to start.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you so much for joining me this gorgeous sunny lunchtime. It's gorgeous here in Cheltenham where I am. Let's have a conversation about money, shall we? So, have you ever been at the checkout in the supermarket and you've just done all your shopping, you're really busy and there's a massive queue behind you and you're just about to pay, you hand the card to the cashier and she goes to do it and then she looks up to you, she goes, "I'm sorry, but your card's been declined."
Ooh, yes.
And you go, "Oh my Lord." And you have that rush of emotion that comes with it, all sorts of emotion. It doesn't matter why it's being declined. It's just that it has, and they have all seen what has happened. Nightmare. What about this? You're out to dinner with a whole group of people, all had loads of fun, and the bill's coming. And you're thinking, "Oh God, how are we going to organise this?" And then Katie at the other end of the table goes, "Let's just split it." And you go, "Oh no, we're not splitting it. I haven't drunk any alcohol and I didn't have a pudding." You don't want to rock the boat. So you're sitting there feeling really uncomfortable. And then what about you have that pang of jealousy, that sort of why not me, as you're flicking through the pages of Hello magazine. Of course, you're sitting at the doctor's surgery, wouldn't expect you to be at home, but you're flicking through the pages thinking, why not me? Look at these people, look at all these wonderful things. And then you just do a big sigh, throw it down and carry on with your day. Or finally, have you tried again and again and again and again to manage your finances? You get it all set up, you go, right, this is it, I'm going to do it this time. And then it either just goes off track or you end up just feeling really anxious and really stressed. You know, millions of us, it seems, money is just not our friend. And bearing in mind that money is with us 24/7, 365 days a year, and it's going to be for the rest of our lives. Isn't it weird that our relationship just seems stuck in this huge array of complicated emotions that makes us feel, I don't know, sort of like shit, really? Sorry to say that, but you know, shit. But it doesn't have to be like that. Today, I want to talk to you about making friends with our finances, actually having them as a friend. I want you to invite you to treat your finances like an adventure. It might be a bit more Indiana Jones than Dora the Explorer, but I found that it's a really effective way to manage your money, making friends with your finances. Because when we do, by jingo, not just our money life, but the whole world just looks a whole heap better. But why would you listen to me? There's a whole heap of advice out there. There's money coaches, financial advisors. Well, let me introduce myself to you, that for those of you I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet. My name is Fanny Snaith, And I am a certified money coach. I'm also a Quest cognitive hypnotherapist. I've been money coaching now for 8 years. I've had over 3,500 clients and students and people listening to my message, and many have said that it's life-changing. I have a private coaching business where I coach individuals, and I'm also a couples money coach. There aren't many of those around. And I do financial well-being sessions, mini courses, online courses, all sorts of things to try and help people be really in control of their financial lives. I think it's really important. I've built a net worth of over £1.5 million. I own a little bit of property myself, but I also invest in property that I don't. I have a self-managed portfolio of funds and shares and savings, ISAs, pensions, and all that kind of stuff. And I built that up over, lots of years. But whilst I was working from home, I've been working from home for the last 23 years, part-time, whilst bringing up our two beautiful, beautiful daughters. But, you know, I didn't pop out of the womb that way. I didn't pop out of the womb to be this financial person. Money really, really has not always been my friend, for sure, but it is now. And I'm hoping that I can help you to achieve that today too. So today, I'd like to invite you to explore your relationship, explore our relationships with money in a different way. I want to show you how to unleash your money magician and your money warrior so that you can become a skillful driver of your financial life. And on top of that, I'm absolutely chuffed to bits to be able to share with you my unique method of organizing your money, managing your money. And I affectionately call it money mapping. You'll see why in a bit. It's been a real game changer for me using this system, and I share it with all my clients. And it transforms our financial path, obviously positively. So let's talk about making friends with our finances. When it comes to money, yeah, we are all different, and that's okay, first and foremost. But it does seem that almost every single person I've met has a load of baggage that comes with it. And that baggage tends to come from what we call our money stories. Let's talk about our money story for a minute, because we've all got one, whether we know it or not. Our money story is made up of all the experiences, all the things that we've experienced about money since the get-go, all the things we've seen, all the things we've heard, right from when we were tots. And when we are little, our brains are like sponges. They're just absorbing every single piece of information that's thrown at it. And up until the age of 7, we pretty much accept everything as the truth from our parents, from our teachers, from people in our culture, the church, the telly, wherever. So think about the environment that you were in as a tot. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel when it comes to money? Did you hear arguments over money? I know I did. Did you hear statements like, we can't afford it? Did you hear, oh, money's for spending? Money's for spending. Or maybe you heard, you have to work really hard for your money. You really do. Money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, I know this favourite. People like us, ... Love that. And then when maybe you look at somebody wealthy, or your family looked at wealthy people and went, they're just lucky. They're just lucky. One of the things my mum used to say to me, she'd say, Francis, you're a fritterer. You just fritter your money away. I don't know, maybe you had good experiences too. We all have good and bad chapters of this money story that we create. But as we go along, the money story creates our money scripts. And our money scripts, I've gone a bit further forward. And our money scripts are the sort of like the deep beliefs that we have about money. They're the things that actually prompt us to how we talk about money, to how we're influencing the decisions that we make about money. The beliefs that we get are pretty much deeply ingrained as well, and they influence our financial behavior and our financial decisions. And even if we think that we make as many financial decisions as we can from our heads, we make them from our hearts. You've only got to ask any marketer that, and they'll tell you that. But there's good news, because once we know how these money stories have affected us, we can rewrite them or reframe them, opening the door to a better relationship with money. One that can help us to take the action that we need to manage it. Because at the end of the day, we can think about it how we like. What we really need to do is get down to the nitty-gritty and start managing it. And that will help us get find us that we've got a better friendship with it, which is actually what we're after here. Even, I might say, a loving one, dare I say it. For us, I would say it because we're ladies, which is good. My money story began even before this photograph was taken. It was even before I was born, because before I was born, my parents were negotiating or running up to very quickly heading up to divorce. And by the time I was 1, Dad was gone. And the reason that happened was because of money. Mum inherited a lot of money when her dad died. She came from a wealthy family and she wanted to spend it. She had no idea what to do with it. She just wanted to spend it. My dad, however, came from humble beginnings. And he was officially a money hoarder, really. He liked to really hang on to it tight. Everything was written down, piece of paper, Wendy and Alan, who spent what. This money was just this biggest thing between them and just caused them to split. So that was that. So she moved on to husband number 2 by the time I was 3. And that was just a disaster from the start. All they did was fought, argued. It was physical, it was toxic, it was awful. Quite a lot of it was about money. It was about other things too, but it was just awful. So she decided that the best place for my sister and I to be was boarding school. So she packed us off to boarding school. I was 7. And whereas I knew that I came from a wealthy family, the minute I stepped over that threshold into the boarding school, I became the pauper. Well, I felt like it, and it seemed actually, factually, I probably was. I was also the youngest boarder, and all of that really didn't do any good for my self-worth or my self-esteem, and I needed to toughen up really fast at 7, and I did that, but forming part of my story, right? And it was a real struggle for the first 2 years. The 3rd year wasn't so bad. At that time, Mum was getting rid of him and she was moving on to husband number 3. So she wrote us a letter and she said, everything's going to be fine. By the way, the finances were like going down. She wasn't working. So it was like, you know, where's the next penny coming from? Everything's going to be fine, darling. I'm marrying the bank manager. So she did. She married her bank manager and yippee, everything was going to be great. But after a year, something happened. And what happened was he got involved with some pretty dodgy people who were very persuasive, let's say, and he ended up giving all my mother's money and all his money and all his mother's money to them. We were left with £76 and they split up. We came out of boarding school really quickly because obviously he couldn't pay the fees. Question, why didn't Dad pay? My dad, there's another one. I skipped a year of school because I was only 10 and I went straight into the local comprehensive. I was the youngest person in the school and I was also the tallest person in what we called the first year then. I felt like Big Bird from Sesame Street. People looked at me weirdly because they thought I was the rich kid because I spoke posh, not like Gert Bristol from where they came from. And I joined the free school meal queue. It was horrific. That I remember that first day and I was standing there bigger. They used to put the free school mealers on the left and the payers on the right, by the way. So they separated us. That was lovely. And I felt so angry. I felt really, 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 really angry. And it was then that this message came into my head and I just went, do you know what? When I grow up, I'm never going to rely on anybody for money and I'm going to become a millionaire. It was, I can remember it clear as day. It was like a little seed was planted in my brain. I had no plan, I had no strategy, but it was just a little seed that was planted in my brain, an experience that I wanted. Time went on, going to cut on for many more years, and I ended up marrying a man, the lovely Neil, who had absolutely no interest in money whatsoever. Of course he wouldn't, because I was going to be the controller of all the finances. and taking the sole responsibility for it. And eventually we reached the 7th digit on our net worth. I was like, I've been following it all with spreadsheets and all this kind of stuff. I went, Neil, we've done it. We've got to the 7th digit. We're millionaires. And I remember he turned and he looked at me. We were in the office together and he said, well, it hasn't really got anything to do with me, has it? I was like, oh my God. It was like a big weight came down from the sky. It just came down over me like a cloak. Because I was expecting flags and bells and whistles and trumpets, but it was like nothing. And then there was this cold feeling that came over me that made me realize that actually we were miserable. I had all this money and I was miserable. And actually he looked miserable. And then I reflected on the journey that we got there and I realized that it had all been done through fear. Nothing had changed. I was still fearful as well. It's just fear that I didn't want to be broke or I didn't want to be like them. So I sort of gave up and we coasted. Everything stopped. And I lived with the fear that I might lose it all because I just stopped. I had anger because I didn't get any joy from it. I thought that I felt guilty because I'd been so controlling and obsessed with it. Still was at that point. And a lot of shame that I just built wealth through simply being afraid of being broke. It was really odd. And I worked out that my belief was that money made me miserable and that it would never make me happy. And yet I was so afraid of not having any. I felt really stuck. So I wonder, how does your money story read so far? Because we can change it. We can change it. And I knew that something needed to be done. And then the universe sent me a little quote. Beliefs are not reality, it started out. The past doesn't equal the future unless you live there. And I thought, oh, that's good, isn't it? I quite like that. How amazing. I decided then and there that there had to be something, it had to be a different way. Went off, found the Money Coaching Institute, trained as a money coach, discovered that my relationship officially really was crap, like really awful. Worked through changing it using exactly the method that I'm going to show you in a minute. I worked out that money had to be fun. It had to be interesting. It had to be like an adventure. And so, not only just for me, by the way, for my future clients as being a money coach. And so the financial adventure was born. Let's go on a financial adventure. And then a little phrase came to me, which was like, where money fills our pockets and adventure fills our soul. Isn't that nice? What about if we could have a journey that's mapped out in a way that puts us on the road to financial success, that gives us all the tools that we need to make it fun, to make it interesting, and, by the way, gets you to where you want to go with joy. Sounded great. So I started working on it. So first of all, we need our adventure essentials. You're going to need kit for any adventure that you go on. So what do we need? We need a map, we need a compass, we need to know where we're going, a destination, but more importantly, we need that all-important mindset. We've got to want to go. It's nothing worse than somebody dragging you up a mountain when you don't want to go. And this is the thing that we have with our finances. It's like we want to get somewhere, but we don't want to do it with that. So we have to find a path to make it a little bit more fun. So we got to get that mindset. We're back to that old relationship with money again. Then another one of my favorite quotes is from Ayn Rand. Money is simply a tool. It will take you wherever you wish to go, but it will not replace you as the driver. So my question is, what kind of driver are you? Who drives your financial life? What part of you drives your financial life? I learned about what's called the 8 money types at the Money Coaching Institute, invented by Deborah Price. And I have found that using them is an absolutely fantastic way of working out how the effect of our money stories and the scripts we've got play out in our life now. The 8 money types are 8 fictional characters that think and behave very differently when it comes to money. We've got all of them inside of us, every single one of us. It doesn't matter who we are, doesn't matter our level of wealth. They exist in each and every one of us. Most of them, by the way, are unhelpful, but not all of them. And by being aware of them, we can then focus on changing our beliefs and our behavior to unleash the two best types, the warrior and the magician. Ta-da! So I would like to introduce you to them and get you to know them a little bit. And when I go through them, I was wondering if you can recognize any of them in mum, dad, other relatives, friends, partner, colleagues, etc. It's really interesting. I also have a quiz on my website, which is called the Money Type Quiz. I'll put the link to it at the end. It's free. And if you want to have a chat with me about your money types later, I'd be more than happy to do so. So here they are. We have got the innocent, the victim, the warrior, the martyr, the fool, the creator artist, the tyrant, and the magician. Quite brutal titles, I know. But remember, we all have all of them within us, you know? And the really important part to think of, you know, they have all these quizzes on the website, which are like personality tests. These money types are not who you are. They are where you are. It's all dynamic. Nobody is a victim. Nobody is a fool. They might be at the wheel of our financial life, but they are not who we are. So, bearing in mind that we're on an adventure, I would like you to accept your very own financial tour bus. Ta-da! And what we're going to do is we're going to take those money types and we're going to put them on the bus as passengers. And as they get on board, they're going to work themselves out and work out where they're placed on the bus. We don't know yet because we haven't explored them that well. Well, you probably don't know about your money types so well. So the question is, which money type or types do you currently have the wheel? I'm going to tell you very briefly a bit more about them in a bit of a silly way, and you might be able to recognize them as I go through. So here we go. The innocent. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm the innocent. Oh God, when it comes to money, all I really want to do is I just want to put my head in the sand. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It all started because my parents just tell me that I'm absolutely rubbish with money, and actually I am. I think it started when they gave me £5 to go and buy some ice creams when I was a child. I walked down the beach to go and get them and I dropped it, I lost it. And they just told me that I was useless and I could never be trusted with money. And they're probably right. But, you know, I put on a smiley face, but inside I'm feeling really anxious and actually pretty scared. And I don't know how to make any decisions with money because I don't have any knowledge about money. I don't know anything about money and I don't want to have anything to do. And like my parents say, I should probably just find a rich partner and marry them and let them deal with all of it. So I'm looking for one. If anybody has anybody that they think might want to come along and look after me, I'm here waiting. Thank you, Susan the innocent. Hi. I used to be like Susan. I did what my parents said, because of course I would. They're great, right? And I married a rich person and gave them all my power with money, which I didn't really have in the first place anyway. And they basically went off with my best friend and took all the money with it, you know? Should never have listened to my parents. Really should never have listened to them. But anyway, I did. So with the little money that I had left, I was introduced to this guy who was going to invest it for me. His name was Robin Crook. You can imagine what happened with that. Invested it and it's all gone. Honestly, my life has just been, the people that have come across in my life have just made me who I am today. It's like if my parents had taught me more about money, then I could have done all these things. It starts with that. It's just, you know, it's so easy for me to just sit here and basically blame everybody else. People told me that I am a little bit of a victim, but you know, I really have all these interesting things that have happened to me, and they're far more interesting to talk about than what's happening in my life right now, by the way. Anyway, nothing's going to really change for me. I hate the money game. My advice to you is just put it under the mattress and forget about it, really. That's probably the best thing to do. Hello, I'm the warrior. I'm the money type of action, and you certainly would like me driving your bus. I'm focused and I'm in control of my money. My intention is to conquer my money world, to be financially successful, to meet the goals that I set myself. I am a brilliant salesperson in the workplace as well, and I'm a great investor. And I actually love helping other people too. I'm very motivated to help others on their journey in the financial world. I learned money from my parents. It was great. I had a great backstory when it comes to my money, but I'm carrying it on into the future. And what I don't know, I'm going to find out. So I am confident and I am in control. And you definitely want me at the helm of your bus. Oh, hi. I'm the martyr. Oh God, sorry, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Like everything's just so busy. All the things that I've got to do. It's just, so exhausting being a martyr. It's like I give and I give and I give and I give and I give. And it's great, but it's just so exhausting. But you see, the thing is, if I don't do it, who's going to? It's never going to happen. So I've tried delegating, but people just don't do things properly, They just don't have that kind of dedication to things that I do. It's just not up to scratch. Very disappointing, very disappointing. So I'm very good at giving. I'm not very good at receiving. I like things to be done properly. I have a lovely, compassionate side and I'm very wise, but obviously because I do this and over deliver and have no boundaries whatsoever, I don't know where I end and other people begin. It means I'm exhausted. So I'm going off for a nap because quite frankly, I'm knackered. Hi guys, I'm the fool. Oh, what a week I've had. It's been so exciting. Normally, I'm on a roller coaster of a life, money life, everything in life. But this week, everything is changing. Everything is changing. I've met this guy and he has the business to die for and he has invited me to invest in it. So I'm going to. It's a I don't know. I'm not very good with all the details. Anyway, what he wants me to do is to invest £10,000 into the business so I can get started. I haven't actually got £10,000. Is there anybody watching? If there's anybody watching that would like to invest £10,000 in the business, it would be great. What you could do is you could come and be part of my upline, sideline, down. I don't know what they call it. Anyway, bits about the business. It's a vitamin pill. It's like this. It's going to cure everybody. It's going to make the whole world healthy. And yeah, I know it's a bit big, but they have this sort of tool thing that you can help to get it down your neck. And it's just the most amazing thing. So I can see my financial life going like this. It's going to be I'm on an upward trajectory. It's going to be exponential growth and it's going to be fantastic. So come and join me and invest in my business, please. Namaste. I'm the creator artist and I'm on my spiritual and artistic path. I'm mainly a yoga teacher. I love yoga. I'm just starting a new course actually, and it's 12 weeks, first 8 weeks are for free and just pay for the last 4 weeks. Money's not important to me. I find living in the material world very difficult. I'm frequently conflicted. I have a very love-hate relationship with money. I mean, why should there be rich people when there are starving people in the world? But then on the other hand, I love to travel and having a bit more money would really help me travel more. But it just doesn't seem to materialize because I don't want to be in the material world. And I don't know. My father works so hard. He's working all the time. Money's really important to him. I've asked him to invest in the business actually, but he said no. But the thing is, I don't want to be like him. I don't want to be all about money. I just want to be myself and I just want to be happy. I sort of like being the creator artist, but then oh God, that was my daughter, right? Yeah, she invited me to invest in her business. Yeah. Did I do it? No. Are creative artists useful in this life? No. Absolutely serve no purpose whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, life is just all about money, really. I mean, money makes the world go round, right? It's like, I can never have enough money. I mean, I've got loads of money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I am seriously loaded, right? And I can use my money to control all sorts of things. I've got a big company. I've got loads of staff I can control. I can control my family with money. I can control all these things with money. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it, but there's never enough. The problem is, one of the things I can't buy And this makes me pretty fearful, actually. One of the things I can't buy is love. And the thought of being alone terrifies me. And I just keep going on, getting more and more and more money, thinking that this is going to fix this. But actually, it's never ever going to be enough. Anyway, life at the top, power. That's what we want. And I am the magician, the money type of faith, trust, and balance. I know how to manifest my financial reality. I live in the present. I tell the truth, and I transform reality. I'm the magician, the ideal money type. When you are at your best, when you are willing to claim your own power, you'll be a money magician just like me. I'm fully awake and I'm fully aware of myself. I'm fully aware of the world around me. I know about my past. I've dealt with it. I've lived all the other 7 money types. I've learned how to dance around the negative sides and embrace the positive side. I've made peace with my personal history. And with faith and love and patience, I just simply wait in the certainty, with the knowledge that everything is going to turn out all right. All my needs are going to be met all of the time. Because magicians like me embrace my inner life as the place of spiritual wealth, and my outer life is how I express my enlightenment in the material world, because they're infinitely connected, and you definitely want me to be the driver of your bus. So there they are. There are the 8 money types. Let's go back to the bus. So now you know. I wonder which ones you think are at the wheel of your financial life today, and how you're going to change them, how they might change along the way. Because our bus ideally is going to look like this: magician and warrior, and the positive side of the creator artist up the front. And quite honestly, the other 5 can go sling the rook. They can go literally go to sleep in the back of the bus, cup of hot chocolate, and never show themselves. But in reality, that's not going to happen. You know, the innocent is going to pop up when maybe you're doing something new. You've got something new to learn. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. But then we can just go, hang on a minute. Yeah, I understand. I recognize where I am. What do I do next? Magician comes in and goes, you got this, girlfriend. You can do this. What do you need to bring out from inside of you that is going to help you through this? And then the magician can come on and take some action. Maybe you need some creativity from the creator artist. On the quiz on my website, you want more than 50% of those 3 and as little as possible from the other 5. But how do you wake up your magician and your warrior? First of all, you need to work out which one or ones are at the wheel. And if it's not the ones that you want, any of the dodgy 5, you need to find the alternative, the right alternative. What do you need? Do you need action? Do you need some kind of really beautiful mindset to go? Do you need creativity? What do you need? Because all of the aspects that are available to you that you need are in the warrior, the magician, and the creator artist. We need an attitude of, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. And actually try and enjoy exploring your thoughts and your beliefs. I go, what do I believe? God, do I? Listen to that voice of judgment that comes into your head. Oh, I'm crap with money. Don't ever say that ever again. Because is it true? You know, can always be switched to, I find money a challenge, but I'm getting better each and every day. Unleash this new part of you. And I promise you that when you even take quite small steps further forward, you'll feel a kind of power. Really feel it, bottle it, and build upon it. But remember, the money types are never who you are. They're not who you are, they're just where you are. Okay, so last piece. Now that you're working on changing your relationship with money, the warrior and magician are your friends, for sure. We can start taking action with the practical side. Because remember, we need a map. I call it a map rather than a boring budget. I hate all those B words: budget, bank statement, all those kind of things, balance the books, all that kind of stuff. Money mapping allows us like to create this financial path to financial freedom. And I mean, financial freedom to me means a feeling of contentment. And it's found by using the confidence and the courage of the magician and the warrior. Money mapping also gives us an enormous amount of clarity, and the clarity we get gives us choices. Lots of lovely C words, move from B to C, notice that there, love that. A real roadmap for success. If you're not quite there yet, then what about curiosity? Because after all, we all need curiosity on an adventure. So money mapping, as I affectionately calls it, it works. It really does work. I've used it with my clients and they love it and I love it and it's great. So let me just show you around it. You can do this. It's not one size fits all. It's about adapting it to how you want it to work. So first of all, let's understand our money flow. Money comes in and then we need to do something with it, of which we're either going to spend it, save it, invest it, lend it, debt it, or give it. It's not much else. But what we need to do then is like count every single pound, look after our pennies, and give every pound and penny a purpose so that everything is working for us. And the magic formula is income less expenses, less savings, less debts equals zero. It's called the zero budgeting method. Dave Ramsey's used it as well. But it goes to zero. We have nothing left over. It all gets given a job. But how do we do that? Because if we start thinking about all the things that we spend our money on, just start writing a list, it's really complicated. We start going, how do we remember what we've done for over a year or whatever? I suppose we have to do 12 months if we're going to try and remember everything, all the events that we have in our lives. So it's hard. So how about starting from some categories? Get some categories going. These are just examples. You don't need to use these. You can have your own categories and then work out how much you spend on each per month. There's a really fantastic tool that you can use, which I use as part of the compass part of my adventure, and it's called Money Dashboard. And if you have various bank accounts and credit cards, it's really good at putting all the transactions together so that you can get an overview. And it also will bring in all the transactions you've had pretty much for the last year, should do the last year. So you can really work it out very, very, very simply and easily. Because the last thing we want you to do is to get out big folders, ledgers with all your bank statements in and start trying to have to work out everything. We want to make it easy, right? And fun. And there's colours on Money Dashboard, and if you can have colours, everything's usually okay. Then what we want to do, rather than just think about what we spend our money on, we want to think about how we spend our money. So we create 3 pots. One for everyday spending, one for automated spending, and one for sometimes spending. And everyday spending is for things that we obviously map the price out, but we're going to make lots of different transactions during the month. Food, groceries, coffees out, bus fares, all that kind of stuff. Automated spending are everything that we've got on standing orders, direct debits, or subscriptions. And then sometimes spending, really important, are the things that we sometimes spend money on. So like Christmas, holidays, birthdays, dentists, opticians, those kind of things, which we need to start accounting for now, rather than getting to the particular event and going, oh no, I forgot about Christmas. How many times have we done that? Oh no, I've got to pay my car insurance or whatever. Save up for it first and we're on the front foot, much more fun, much more exciting. So go back to the categories again. What does it look like if we divide them into the pots? If we put them actually into the pots, exactly the same list as we had before. It looks like this. Ta-da! So we've got 3 different ways that we spend our money. Add savings and debts to it, automate those, and we've got everything we do in 3 pots. Really, really good. Make each pot a separate bank account or a space. If you're using the challenger banks like Monzo or Starling, they have spaces and pots which you can have alongside your current account, which are just brilliant for doing this. But what we're doing is we're getting safe containers for our money. Boundaries, keep the martyr in check for a start, help the innocent to understand what's going on, all that kind of stuff. Create a pot for the victim to make himself happy. Yeah, we can use it for all different purposes. So as soon as you get paid, you can separate your money into the 3 pots, or if money comes in as dribs and drabs, you can do it that way as well. You'll find a way to work it, and then you'll know you've got your bills covered, you're saving for the sometimes spends, and you've got money there for the things that you need now. So a quick summary. 3 pots. One for both bus fares, everyday spends, food, club fees, all that kind of stuff. 2, automated spending, subscriptions, direct debits, etc. And number 3, for our sometimes spending, Christmas, holidays, birthdays, opticians, haircuts, teeth, and all those kind of things. What tools do you need? Well, apart from the money map, which mine is, I'll show you one in a minute, but mine is a spreadsheet, but you can do it however you want to. These are the other tools that I use. So I've got Starling Monzo Money Dashboard. I used to use this when I had cash, when I used cash, but I don't use cash anymore, so I don't use that. But there are loads of trackers that you can use. So these are the tools that I personally use. Basically, 2 things, 3 things: my money map, money dashboard, and Starling. That's it. And for me to work out how much a family of 4 have spent at the end of a month, I can do it in as little as 20 minutes, which is great. Like, you know, this is what we want. We don't want it to be this great, huge task. If you were thinking about jotting it down on a piece of paper, this is quite old, but this is what it would look like. So you've got your categories at the top, work out the per month spend, and then work out, is it an everyday spend, a sometimes spend, or an automated spend, and just stick it in one of the boxes. And then it'll give you an idea as to how much you're spending each month. I use an Excel spreadsheet. It's developed into quite a thing over time. Yours doesn't have to be as plush. This is what mine looks like. So I've got a dashboard here, and you just on the money map, you've got all the categories. It's built to go with money dashboard, by the way. You've got all the categories, tells you what they all are, and you just stick in all the information. It summarizes on the dashboard, and I've got a summary at the bottom as to how much I spend on each one. So this amount in sometimes, this automated, this every day. Got an income of 5,010p a month, and yes, it adds up to that. So it all checks all the maths for me. I've also got this brilliant tab where I write all my standing orders and my direct debits, which is really good, whether they're annual or monthly. Caring for my credit score links directly to the credit score, credit reference agencies. And then I've also got my net worth statement, which is how I built up that 1.5 million plus. I've also included in here what's called a snowball debt destroyer, so that if you have debts, you can pop all the details in and you can fiddle about with the amount of money to see how long it's going to take to pay them off. The more you pay, it'll work it all out for you. But you don't have to use that. So that's what a money map would look like. That's the money mapping system that works. So let me wrap this up. Making friends with your finances is the way forward. If you feel that money is a bothersome burden that stresses you out or makes you feel anxious, it's not your fault. It's going to be very hard for you to move forward without doing something different. There is a huge amount of help out there. It's not just a case of going to a money coach or a financial advisor. There's books to read, there's websites to go to, good old Martin Lewis. Just Google anything that you feel. I feel anxious about money. But there are people like me that also want to help. If you wanted to get started with money mapping, I've actually created a little money mapping course where you get that Excel spreadsheet that I've got, and you get video tutorials to show you how to use it. I've also put the snowball debt destroyer in there as well. And there's a document on how to take care of your credit score to help you with that, and hints and tips over keeping that healthy. Very important in this time with all the mortgage rates, and if you need to renegotiate, you need to have your credit score as good as it can possibly be. And also a guide on how to save your way out of debt. Many people think that you just have to throw all your money at your debts. Not good, because what will happen is that you won't have any buffers and you won't have any reserves, and then every time something goes wrong or you go off track, you'll be sabotaging your debt repayment, and it'll just put you on the floor, and you'll probably go out and buy 14 curries or something like that, and then regret that you did so the next day. Lifetime access, and you know, I'm there as well to ask questions for. It's usually priced just £88. But today I'm offering you a special offer for ABOO members, so you can have it for £68. We've got all codes and all that kind of stuff coming up for you. If you want to take a photograph of this, you're more than welcome. The discount code is MMS Money Mapping System 68. Do feel free to do that. But just really to tie up now, reach out if you feel that you want some help and you don't know what to do. A first start could be taking the money type quiz. I offer a free 30-minute consultation to talk about the money types. Obviously, I do one-to-one coaching. If you fancy some well-being in your workplace, please consider hiring me for a workshop or for a presentation. But more importantly, please try to embrace this financial adventure and enjoy your financial adventure. Let money fill your pockets and adventure fill your soul. Let money be your friend and actually realize that it is just simply a tool that will take you wherever you wish to go, but it won't replace you as the driver. Put that warrior and that magician in the driving seat and have some fun. And that's it.
Wow, that's just brilliant, Fanny. Thank you so much. I'm just I'm knocked out by that. It's fantastic. If anybody's got any questions for Fanny, do write them in the comments now, and we'll ask Fanny. I'm amazed by that, because I do all that stuff for my business, and I don't do it. I don't do it in my personal life. I've got the different bank accounts, and moving things around. I work in Zero, so I can see exactly what's happening. But I don't do it for me, and I'm always finding that my direct debits have failed because I've just forgotten to put the money in the right account. So that's incredibly helpful.
It's so common. It's so common. And I actually found that when I started, all I was doing was teaching people how to become their own personal bookkeeper. And they were managing millions of pounds at work. And yet when it came to their personal finances, it just wasn't happening. And I couldn't understand at the time with my tyrant. I don't know if anybody noticed, but a tyrant was one of my money types. We started off as warrior, became tyrant. And not very helpful at all, miserable path. But I was just thinking, well, what on earth's the matter with you? Why aren't you listening to me? Why aren't you I'm teaching you this, why aren't you doing it? And that's when I really decided that I needed to find out about our relationship with money and how important it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the money types, I think everybody was saying in the comments at that point, oh, I recognize loads of these. I can see different aspects of myself. I think everybody can. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very, very interesting. So one thing that Debbie asked at the beginning was, should finance be taught in schools? Do you think that's a way forward, or are you not particularly?
No, I'm absolutely keen for finance to be taught in schools, but it needs to be taught depending on what age. If you've got very little ones, honestly, with children, start playing shops with them. You can start right from the beginning, trading things and all that kind of stuff. That's how I started. I used to go to the junkyard next door in our house when we lived on the Isle of Wight, and we used to collect all the junk and put it on tables and trade it with berries that we got off the trees. Totally not health and safety, but whatever. And I used to take my children to the supermarket and go, right, like a nice piece of broccoli, and send them off and go, well, which one are we going to have? Or get them to select of the baked beans. But in schools, we have to remember that many teachers also do not have great relationship with money.
Of course.
So we know how teachers can plant seeds in children's heads. It's quite often teachers, I'm sorry teachers, but you do need to hear this. It's quite often teachers that make us feel that we're stupid and inadequate and can't do things. So it needs to be done in a very careful way. As we get older, in school, I believe that the approach is to do it from the psychology space first, rather than the math space. That's what I think is the key thing. When they're little, you can start playing with things and, actually have some games and all that kind of stuff. But as it gets into teen years, when they've already formed their beliefs and opinions about themselves and about money, and they're growing, I really think it needs to come from a psychological part first. Learn about the money types first, and then start doing the budgeting.
Yes. So really, teachers and parents should all go on a money type course before they
Everybody,
start trying to
yeah. Well,
pass it
or
on to their children, because it clearly is a generational thing, isn't it? So
it is really a generational thing, and you know, even people working in the finance industry, just because you've learnt how to become a financial advisor, it doesn't mean to say that you've got a great relationship with money. It, you know,
right.
really, it doesn't. And there are plenty of finance professionals now who are running courses and written books who have been in thousands of pounds worth of debt or had awful relationships with money, which must, it just is even worse. I mean, I remember when I first started as a money coach, I wasn't earning any money. For a money coach not to be earning any money, I know what that felt like. But to be a financial advisor sitting in front of clients and thinking that your relationship with money is awful must be hard. But it's coming from our childhood and coming from our parents, that inherited, those inherited beliefs to a certain extent.
Yeah. Deborah Power says education about money is so important. We've all heard the negatives around money and continue to do so,
Yeah.
which is absolutely true. Helen Davidian has a sad story to tell. She says she was left penniless after her gambling husband took it all, and then there was COVID, and she now lives on a low government pension with pension credit, so it's very hard to rise above it.
Yeah.
Have you got any words of wisdom for Helen,
Well,
Fanny?
it's the words of wisdom are not going to fill her bank account with pounds, but the first thing is really thinking about how she feels. If she's you know, still carrying the anger and resentment that is possibly there from her ex-husband. First of all, is about letting it go and actually being able to move forward, that accept the situation that we're in, and then work bringing in our warrior and bringing in our magician to work out what can we do about it, where can we go from here, what are the possible solutions. It's hard. I'm not going to say it's not hard, and especially when we've had situations like that that have happened in our lives, it's very easy to remain in a space whereby that takes up most of our minds. But I think to try and free our minds of that and actually see what else is going on in the world is possibly a really good step forward.
Great. Helen says, I have let it go. And she puts a heart. So, I mean, would you suggest that Helen, as well as, I mean, as everybody, does your money quiz, and then will that kind of give her some
Yeah,
ideas, do you think?
yeah. Well, it's, I mean, if you're not sure which money type, and I call them money types, you know, I actually now say to a lot of people money, and then I strike it out, just types, because they do generally, you know, bleed into the rest of our lives.
Yeah,
You know, if you're a
absolutely.
warrior with money, you're generally a warrior elsewhere with your life. What is it? How you do something is how you do everything, right? But yeah, definitely. If take them, you can feel free to take the money type quiz, and I'm happy to have a chat with anybody about the results. A quick half an hour is always good, just to give them an idea as to how their bus is working. But
That's
they'll know
wonderful.
now because they've had the description. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great, and that's incredibly generous. And thank you for your discount for ABOO members. That's wonderful too. Sounds like a very valuable course to sign up to. One question that I've had is not in the comments here, but if you have a mortgage and you are coming to get some money and you're able to pay it off, should you actually do it? Or I mean, you were talking before about not paying all your debts off at once. Is it better to keep a mortgage going in some way, or?
Well, that, I mean, gosh, what a prevalent question of the times that we're in. If you'd asked me that a year ago, I would have said to you, well, mortgage is cheap money. So if we were looking at very, very low interest rates, and you'd be looking at a much higher interest rate on any debt that you had, and pretty miserable interest rates on your savings, but it's changed now. So if you're, what the way to look at it is, and of course everybody's situation is different, we always want to try and keep a cash buffer so that it keeps the monkey mind at bay. I mean, this is only half of the stuff, it's just an introduction to it really, but to keep our monkey mind at bay, it's really good to have a little pocket of cash So you go, it's okay, whatever happens, I can last 3 months, I can last 6 months or whatever. If your interest rate on your mortgage is gone, then you want to get rid of it. But if you've also got credit card debt that's on an even higher mortgage interest rate than the mortgage, you might want to get rid of that quicker. But really, any bad debt, which is personal loans, credit card debt, anything that you've bought that you can't, that you bought that's in your home that you haven't been able to pay for at the time, that's usually more expensive. Mortgages, we usually go, oh, that's okay debt, because there's no way we'd ever be able to buy a house. There's no one straight answer, but there's also, by the way, I have to bring this in, there's also the psychological thing. There are some people who are just literally hell-bent on not having a mortgage. And actually the psychology of it may override anything that you want to do, you know, the sense of anything. So I would say if you've got interest rates going up, sure, consider either cutting it down or paying it off. If you've got debts that are on high interest rate, try and switch them to 0% as much as you can, or bring them down and get those paid off over the mortgage if that's the case. Always try and have a buffer, which is again this save your way out of debt. And yeah, it's an individual by individual case, but using those tools that you've got there, you should be able to get some kind of sense with it. But mortgages are not anywhere near as attractive as they were a year ago, let's face it.
No. I guess no kind of debt is as attractive as it was a year ago.
I mean, I'm seeing credit cards now with interest rates into the 30%.
Oh gosh.
So it's like, so quick tip with credit cards: never ever pay, if you're paying interest, that is, never pay the minimum payment. Never. They work the algorithm so it makes you pay the most interest that you can, but it also gives you the longest time to pay it. It's a sort of a win-lose situation. If that's why the snowball's really good. If you were to up the amount that you pay every month from the minimum payment, even by a fiver or a tenner, and stick to that minimum payment and don't use the card, obviously, you could pay your card off as much as 20 years earlier than you would pay it off if you're just paying the minimum payment.
Wow, that is a great tip. Fantastic.
Honestly, it's serious. It's like the difference is huge, and the amount of interest that you pay is like massive.
Wow. Yes, no, that's incredibly good advice. One last question, which I've also heard elsewhere, is if you have some money, what is the best thing to do with it? Maybe not, a massive amount, but if you've got a little bit that you can save or invest, where's the best place to put it?
Well, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not allowed to give financial advice, but I can tell you what my preferences are. What would I do if I had a bit of money? Well, first of all, a bit of money is not quantified. So if I had a bit of money to save, i.e. didn't have all the debts and all that kind of stuff, my cash buffer would be the most important thing. If I had a cash buffer and I didn't know what to do with it, you can get about 4% now on savings, which is okay. But if it was a reasonable amount of money, I would actually consider putting it in premium bonds. I know that sounds
really? Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard that word for a long time.
Do you know what the thing is? The interesting part of it is you can put up to 50 grand in premium bonds. You're not going to earn any interest, but every single person I have come across, I don't know whether it's got something to do with me, they always win, and they're winning well above the minimum interest rate. It's not guaranteed, but you could. If not, you want to have a certain amount of money available to you in an instant access savings account on the highest interest rate that you can get. Start an ISA, which of course is tax-free. It may be stocks and shares or cash, but it really is a very individual thing. You could stick it in your pension and get an extra, the top up from the government. If you're on the basic rate tax, you put ATP into your pension, they're going to top it up to £1. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But it really does depend on your overall financial situation. I have to be so careful.
Yeah, of course.
Because I don't want anybody in years going, you said this in this talk to do that, and I did it, and it didn't, and it wasn't right for me. It's like, I can't do that. So please, I'm not a financial advisor.
No, that's great. But Michelle Falcon says, I won 350 on premium bonds last night. So there you go. Last month,
Yay,
sorry, not last night,
Michelle!
last month. That's brilliant.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's really, really, really good. Michelle is a fellow Questie, and she cognitive hypnotherapist, and she's brilliant.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Lisette, who is in Holland, says, I would say invest in solar panels on your own roof or someone else's if you have such projects as we do in the Netherlands. That's very interesting.
Yeah, know nothing about that. No comment.
Okay.
I have solar panels on my one of my rental properties, but we bought them in 2013, I think, when it just, so I don't know.
No.
Sounds wonderful. But if you need the money, it's not, you're not gonna, if you need the money in the short term or the medium term or the long term, it's not so easy to get them off the solar panels on the roof.
No,
So it just
very
depends
true.
on your situation.
And if it's not saving you a massive amount in electricity, although these days it might do.
Who knows?
Who knows?
The world is ever changing, Lucy.
It
All
is
we can
indeed.
do is the best we can with what we've got.
Absolutely. Well, Fanny, on that note, I will say thank you so much for all your wisdom and advice. And this has been so interesting. And everybody has said they've absolutely loved this presentation. So thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm sure people will be visiting your quiz and your course. And it's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucy. And thank you, everybody, for your time.
Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.